I mean, the simplest phrase I would use, I think I've found the last plumber that I'm going to need.
When I hooked up with Trident on this filtration system, I really found that not only Alex, but also the whole company just seemed to be up for a challenge. They weren't just installing, the same old thing, doing the same old thing. They really were up for a challenge, and the whole attitude, especially of Alex, where he would answer texts on the weekends. I mean, I bugged this guy for 2 to 3 months. I mean, I worked on the system trying to figure out how do we put this in? How do we filter the way we want to? How do we fit it into this crazy small space in the pantry? It was a really enjoyable, collaborative process. And I found that even the people in the office were responsive in that way. And his teammates, when he would go look into products and check with the manufacturer to see, do they offer something slightly different, or what does this spec mean, that kind of thing. I found him to be really, really proactive on that kind of stuff. So I felt like I had an advocate, not only a great plumber, really, he wanted to give me the solution that I wanted, and that meant a lot to me.
So I'm a detail guy, and when Daniel and his techs now go through exactly what's going on, exactly how it happened, exactly how to prevent it potentially, and how they're going to fix it, that gives me peace of mind that they're not taking advantage of me or my wife. I don't recall feeling that same way about other plumbers that I had used in the past.
So one thing that Skylar did really, really well was to explain what was happening and the fixes and the multiple options. Instead of just giving me that one option, he gave me multiple options depending on the cost and the severity of it, and explain the process, give me the outcome of it. And as a homeowner, I was able to decide what I needed to do next.
Having people do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it is really important. They take care of the little things. They call before they show up if they're going to be late. If they have an emergency with another client that's kind of a flooded house and you have an appointment that's really not a rush, they ask, hey, can we move you? And what that tells you is that if I'm ever in that situation and have a crisis, they're going to help me first because they can prioritize the work.
I got lucky because I kind of found them, and I'm like, all right, we'll give these guys a try. So they had an online fill out thing, and I'm huge on that. If this is going to sound really bad, but if I don't have to necessarily talk to somebody, I might not. And I like that they had the online referral. It was awesome. It worked great for me. I got that filled out, and this is at 4:00 in the morning. I'm expecting, maybe I'll hear something later in the day or whatever. I think it was Leanne actually that called me, and she's like, oh my gosh, the first thing she asked me is, are you okay? And I'm like, you know what? That set a message to me right away that this company's kind of something special. And I said, yeah, everything's fine. It just all of a sudden our hot water heaters just gave out.
Their staff are still exactly the same, meaning I like to think that they're all miniature versions of Daniel, like just very outgoing people, and make sure that the customer's always taken care of. Number two, I've seen Leanne bring people in her staff, and she's very careful to make sure that they keep a culture where customer's always first. From one technician or plumber to another, they give you the same experience, and they always talk kudos. And I tell them, I'm like, oh, I know Daniel. Like, oh, we love Daniel, right? So it makes it feel like you're part of a family, like you're having someone that cares about you come into your home and do something that you really don't want to get your hands in.
When I first went on my first job that Trident called me on, because we work together, they do the plumbing installations. I do the certification of the backflow valves in there. And the backflow valves are very important because that protects the city water, not only the customer that they're doing, but also their neighbors and everything else. If they were to have a backflow situation where water went back in, it could suck sewer water into the city water supply, and that's no bueno. So they install those. When I went to their first job, I do a lot of work for a lot of different plumbers. Theirs is by far the best installation I've ever seen. And I tell the customer when I'm there, like they'll go and install something in the garage, and I will tell that customer that they were smart for choosing Trident, because all the installations I see, Trident does the small things. They insulate things that others don't insulate. They make it easy for us in the future service guys because I have to come back every year and test their backflow valve. If I have to stand on my head to get to it or fight behind stuff, and Trident seems to, I've never really asked them to install it for me in mind, but they do. A lot of other plumbers just slap things and move on to the next job. So I really have explained to the customers that they spent their money well using Trident.